Hi everyone, my name is Alexia Nevitt, and this is a little bit about the emergent curriculum in the primary classroom. So, if you're a teacher or you work with kids from around kindergarten to third grade, or if this is something that interests you, then I have something for you. So, this is the book Emergent Curriculum in the Primary Classroom Interpreting the Reggio Emilia Approach in School. So, throughout my life as a teacher and working with young children, one size does not fit all. And this is kind of the book that has helped me and a lot of other teachers kind of figure out what works best for each individual. Um, so all kids do learn so differently, and we want to foster that creativity and curiosity and critical thinking in our students. So this book kind of helps with all of that. Um, is a it's a This book is a must read for educators who want to implement a child-centered and project-based approach to learning. The Reggio Emilia approach has been widely adopted around the world and has been known to be highly effective in promoting student engagement and achievement, which all we want is for our students to be engaged because the more they are engaged in the classroom, the more we are able to get through to them and for them to interpret all of the things that we have to teach them. So, a little bit about the Reggio Emilio approach. So, this, um, oh my goodness, the Emergent Curriculum in the Primary Classroom: Interpreting the Reggio Emilia Approach in Schools is a book by Carol Ann Reen, who was an expert in early childhood education. This book explores the Reggio Emilia approach to teaching young children and how it has been adapted in the primary classroom. The book involves practical guidance on how to implement the Reggio Emilia approach in primary classrooms. It emphasized the importance of observing and listening to children and creating a learning environment that is responsive to their needs and their interests. The book also explores the role of a teacher in this approach and how teachers can act as facilitators of learning rather than simply delivering content. Um, uh, sh- Reggio Emilia was a very well known person, especially in preschool development classes, a lot of in like DRDPs, because a lot of it is observing. Um, so, because every child is unique and will express their interests in many different ways, and we want to encourage those relationships, communication, and collaboration through all of this play. So, as we start forming this curriculum, um, so the first one is we observe and we document student learning. Um, this is the first step in forming an emergent curriculum to observe and document student learning. This involves paying close attention to students' interests and experiences using documentation techniques. And this could be anything from a wide variety of different things to from assessments like tests and things as you get older, but as such a young grade, though sometimes those tests are very hard. And this book gives great advice for providing different types of photography so you can take pictures of their stuff, especially with them building and using their fine motor. Like taking pictures of those is a great thing. Um, Also, videos, journaling, and a lot of writing down word for word of what they say and many stuff like that. Also, identifying student interests and experiences, planning like project based on students' interests. And this book provides so many ideas of that, incorporating learning goals and standards, using flexibility and open-ended materials, and encouraging collaboration and reflection with not only with peers, with teachers, with so many other people that are in the students' lives as they're in school. Um, so one amazing quote that I found while reading this book is children's own questions are at the leading edge of their development. When a teacher uses them as a guide to curriculum, they generate motivation. So we always thought that, especially me growing up, I would raise my hand and I would get so embarrassed. I would get embarrassed because what happens if nobody else had this question, or it made me feel kind of like I didn't know any of the material, and it's not a good feeling, especially when you're in class and you're trying to learn. But throughout this book and being able to research more, um, those questions are help us develop and help us in so many other ways, and you never know that somebody might have that exact same question. And I know you always hear this, especially in school, but it's so true. Um, And another thing is so much has changed over the last couple of years, and students are the most affected. They feed off of that play, like Reggio Millie was saying, and they feed off so much of that interaction those first few years of life. And being in a pandemic and um, having COVID-19 around us for so many years. We were cooped up inside. We were not able to have that interaction. And now, as things start opening up and schools are back, a lot of those things that we learn so young are now being learned later in life. And that is definitely affecting our students. Um, so this book also helps so much with that kind of comeback, and for a teacher realizing that's like, okay, I need more help and I need to be able to adjust to the students' needs and interests because those have also changed so much in the last couple years. So another one is enhancing understanding and the curriculum. So this kind of puts a new perspective on early childhood education. Um, because of the fact that Reggio Emilia's approach challenges traditional approaches to early childhood education by placing emphasis on child centered and project based learning. So, reading this book can provide educators with a new perspective on teaching and learning in the early years. It also offers practical strategies and techniques. So, this book offers some strategies and techniques that educators can use to help them with their project based learning and also creating this new foundation and classroom design. It also encourages reflection and professional development. This approach kind of places some more emphasis on reflection and professional development and just new ways of teaching and learning. And then finally, it also supports emergent curriculum, which is the approach. Um, And this is where curriculum emerges from the interesting experiences of the students. So you kind of read the book and help educators better understand how to implement this kind of thing in their own classrooms. Um, so in a TED talk by uh, in a TikTok that we learned, or a TED talk that we watched in class, a big part was preparing our students for the future and not our past. A lot of the time, we want to be like, oh, this is what I learned in school. And this TED talk really went into detail about we need to stop thinking about our past and teaching them based on our past because we're not our past. We're never going to go back there, but teaching them things that are going to be helpful for their future, understanding things in the real world, things that they're going to experience, and kind of connecting that with education. Some activities teachers can implement is like, again, observing and documentation, taking those pictures, writing those observations down. A lot of collaborative projects, so also working with peers because they're not only looking at things from their perspective, but also other perspectives and being able to talk and communicate with other people about certain project or concepts. Another one is flexible classroom design. So I've learned a lot about this and just flexible seating and kind of having students have more control over their classroom, because the more that they learn about themselves, the more that they can implement that in their learning and overall become a better student. Also having parent and community involvement, um, having their parents involved and having parents support the student really feeds off of that emotion, and it does wonders for the student's education. And also just being able to reflect and have that personal development. Um, so this was talked a lot about in our textbook, but the six facets. So it's like explanation, interpretation, application, perspective, empathy, self knowledge, and then a little bit about what those entail. But just the different things that how we understand our this new information that is being processed. And the more that we learn about this, the more that we can learn about the different um, types of learning and the types that how students can learn, how students understand learning, and implement that also in our teaching, so students are getting the most out of their education. So a little bit of a recap. Emergent curriculum in the primary classroom is a valuable resource for educators who are interested in implementing a child-centered approach to teaching and learning in their classroom. It provides practical guide, advice, and insights based on Reggio Emilio's approach, which has been highly influential in the field of early childhood education. And then here are some of the resources that are in my project. Thank you.